All right, what's up, guys? Today we are going to go over letter 41 in Moral Letters to Lucius, Seneca's letters, and this is on the God within us. All right, so in verse 1 he says, "You're doing an excellent thing, one which will be wholesome for you, if, as you write me, you are persisting in your effort to attain sound understanding. It is foolish to pray for this when you can acquire it from yourself. We do not need to uplift our hands towards heaven or to beg the keeper of a temple to let us approach his idol's ear, as if in this way our prayers were more likely to be heard. God is near you. He is with you. He is within you." So his first verse is basically saying, look, it's great that you are persisting to attain a sound understanding in your wisdom, okay? But you don't need to pray for this. You don't need to pray for a thing. You don't have to be like, God, grant me wisdom, when you can acquire it for yourself, right? There's a lot of things that we ask for, right? If you're religious, you ask for God, and he says, or a temple or whatever it is, that you can get yourself. So don't pray for the things that you can get yourself. It's silly. You know, people are asking for things, but it's within your power. In verse 2, he says, "This is what I mean, Lucilius. A Holy Spirit indwells within us, one who marks our good and bad deeds and is our guardian. As we treat the Spirit, so are we treated by it. Indeed, no man can be good without the help of God. Can one rise superior to fortune unless God helps him to rise? He it is that gives noble and upright counsel. In each good man, quote, a God doth dwell, but what God we know not." So he's saying here, which is interesting, this is the first time we've heard Seneca really talk about religion here. And I don't know that he's particularly religious, but he's relating this in terms of what a lot of people would understand. He's saying, look, there is this spirit that dwells within us, and we know good from bad based on it. It is our guardian, right? It's the morality. Like, you have something within you that knows good from bad. And he says, as we actually treat this spirit, so we're treated by it. So indeed, no man can be good without the help of God. So he's saying, without this spirit, without this discernment, you couldn't be good, because you have to know. You have to know what is right and what is wrong. So you can't actually rise to superior fortune unless God helps him to rise, right? He's asking this question. Is that true? Right? Okay. And so let's move on. He says in verse 3, if ever you have come upon a grove that is full of ancient trees which have grown to an unusual height, shutting out a view of the sky by a veil of pleached and intertwining branches, then the loftiness of the forest, the seclusion of the spot, and your marvel at the thick unbroken shade in the midst of the open spaces will prove to you the presence of a deity. Or if a cave made by the deep crumbling of rocks holds up a mountain on its arch, a place not built with hands but hollowed out into such spaciousness by natural causes, your soul will be deeply moved by a certain imitation of the existence of God. We worship the sources of mighty rivers. We erect altars at places where great streams burst suddenly from hidden sources. We adore springs of hot water as divine and consecrate certain pools because of their dark waters or their immeasurable depth. His argument here is he's saying all these things that you see in nature, they prove that there is a God, that something created them. Right? Whatever you believe, I don't know exactly what Seneca believed at this time as well, but he's saying there's plenty of proof that there is some creator, there is some creation, whether you believe in a single person entity consciousness creator or a universal kind of consciousness creation, whatever, these things kind of prove these things, which I think is a solid argument, right? Again, coming from a non-theological position myself. In verse 5, when a soul rises superior to other souls, when it is under control, when it passes through every experience as if it were of small account, when it smiles at our fears and at our prayers, it is stirred by a force from heaven. A thing like this cannot stand upright unless it be propped by the divine. Therefore, a greater part of it abides in that place from whence it came down to earth, just as the rays of the sun do indeed touch the earth, but still abide at the source from which they are sent. Even so, the great and hallowed soul, which has come down in order that we may have a nearer knowledge of divinity, does indeed associate with us, but still cleaves to its origin. On that source it depends. Thither it turns its gaze and strives to go, and it concerns itself with our doings only as a being superior to ourselves. All right, so what is he saying with all of this poetry here? All right. He's saying that just like you see these things in nature, right, in the previous verse that point to divinity. So it is when you see a man who is unterrified in the midst of dangers, untouched by desires, happy in adversity, peaceful amid the storm. Okay? And he's saying that what this is that there's a quality, there's a piece of God within him, right? Actually, I think we skipped a little bit here. Let's go back here real quick because I just realized. Okay, I think I skipped ahead. We'll just kind of break this down as we go. If you see a man who's unterrified, midst of dangers, untouched by desires, we said this, happy, peaceful in the storm, who looks on, okay, and views the gods on a footing of equality, will not a feeling of reverence for him steal over you? Will you not say, this quality is too great and too lofty to be regarded as resembling this petty body in which it dwells? A divine power has descended upon that man. Okay, sorry, little confusion. I jumped ahead a verse here. But what he's saying here in this verse, at least, is he's saying that, look, if you see a man that has all these qualities, right, which we would call kind of these Stoic qualities, right, and you see this man who, he says, he looks down upon men from a higher plane and views the gods on a footing of equality. So if he views himself on an equality with the gods, will not a feeling of reverence for him steal you over? If you see this guy, right, will you not have this feeling of reverence? Will you not say this quality is too great and too lofty to be regarded as resembling this petty body in which it dwells? A divine power has descended upon that man. So would you not think, if you saw that person, that there is some kind of divinity working within him? That's his argument here, right? So then we go on to what I read before, which is verse 5. When a soul rises superior to other souls, when it's under control, when it passes through every experience as if it were a small account, when it smiles at our fears and our prayers, it is stirred by a force from heaven. A thing like this cannot stand upright unless it's propped by the divine. Therefore, a greater part of it abides in the place. Okay. And so what he's saying here, which you already read, is that there must be some part of the soul that is attached to divinity. And this is what he's really espousing as his belief, is that you're not just a person, you're not just flesh and blood, but there is some divinity within your soul. That's what he's arguing here, right? Again, it might seem weird, like Seneca's really saying this. It appears so, right? I mean, how else can you interpret this? All right, and he's saying here, if we move on to verse 6, what then is such a soul? One which is resplendent with no external good, but only with its own. For what is more foolish than to praise in a man the qualities which come from without? And what is more insane than to marvel at characteristics which may at the next instant be passed on to someone else? A golden bit does not make a better horse. The lion with gilded mane, in the process of being trained and forced by weariness to endure the decoration, is sent into the arena in quite a different way from the wild lion whose spirit is unbroken. The latter, indeed, bold in his attack, as nature wished him to be, impressive because of his wild appearance, and it is his glory that none can look upon him without fear, is favored. In presence to the other lion, that languid and gilded brute. So what he's saying here is, look, so what is this soul? Okay, well, the one that has no external good, it's the good comes from itself. Okay, what is more foolish, right, than to praise a man on the qualities that come from outside him? If like, and he's comparing this, okay, to what if these characteristics could just be passed on to someone else, like money, right? He's saying, like, if you put a golden bit into a horse's mouth, right, a bridle, a bit, does that make it a better horse because it has gold? No. If you have a lion with a gilded mane, right, this trained lion, does that make that lion more superior? No, it actually makes him weaker. Like the wild lion is actually better, right? So he's saying that the external things are not important. That does not make someone great. A person who has money, a person who has looks, a person who has whatever it is, the status, these things by themselves do not make a man great. It is the internal goods, the things of his character that make him good. No man ought to glory except in that which is his own. We praise a vine if it makes the shoots teem with increase, if by its weight it bends to the ground the very poles which hold its fruit. Would any man prefer this vine, one from which golden grapes and golden leaves hang down? In the vine, the virtue peculiarly is its own fertility. And a man also, we should praise that which is shown, which is his own. Suppose that he has a retinue of comely slaves and a beautiful house. That his farm is large and large his income. None of these things is in the man in himself. They are all on the outside. So again, he's making the same point here. And he's saying, look, you shouldn't be proud of anything that's not actually you. All right? Not the things that you have, right? He's saying that we praise the vine, okay, if it makes the shoots teem with increase. If it multiplies, right? If it grows, all right? If its weight bends to the ground, the very poles which hold it fruit, because it's producing so much, right? And he's saying, would any man prefer this vine, one from which golden grapes and golden leaves hang down? Okay, of course, you would want something that is better, right? And he's saying here that, look, this guy that has all this stuff, all right, none of them are actually him. Right? If he has a beautiful horse and slaves and a large farm and a large income, that's not him. That's not the thing to be praised. Right? Now, he says in 8, praise the quality in him which cannot be given or snatched away, that which is the peculiar property of the man. Do you ask what this is? It is soul and reason brought to perfection in the soul. For a man is a reasoning animal. Therefore, a man's highest good is attained if he has fulfilled the good for which nature designed him at birth, right? And so this comes from a Aristotelian argument in philosophy, is that a man's good, right? That, like, what makes a man is rationality, right? So reason. The better you can reason, the better that you are. And those are the things that are unique to a man and come from yourself, right? Aristotle talked about this in his Nicodemean ethics, right? And I assume Seneca was probably familiar with those writings. I don't know for sure, but it sounds like it, right? So he's saying here, which really is critical, praise the quality which cannot be snatched away, all right? So think about this in yourself, right? And I'd go through this with a lot of coaching clients where they're upset. I was just talking to a guy yesterday who was upset because he didn't make as much money as some people. All these people were comparing. He didn't have the girl. He didn't have all these things. And I was trying to tell him, like, it doesn't matter, right? Yeah, you want those things, and you can go after those things. That's fine. But those things are not going to make you great. You are going to make you great. What is your judgment of yourself? And so you have to really think about, what are the things that cannot be taken from you? Those are the only things you truly have. So if you lost everything, if you lost your money, if you lost your relationships, if you lost everything that you have, your job, your house, would you still be in a good position? What are the skills that you have? What is the wisdom that you've gained? What is the kind of person that you are? Because those are the only things that you truly have. All those other things can be taken from you or given to someone else or given to you. Again, maybe you've earned some things, but it's still not yours because they can be taken from you. Only what you actually have, what is within you, which cannot be taken from you, is actually yours. So that's the only thing worthy of praise. He says in 9, and what is it which this reason demands of him? The easiest thing in the world, to live in accordance with his own nature. But this is turned into a hard task by the general madness of mankind. We push one another into vice. And how can a man be recalled to salvation when he has none to restrain him and all mankind urge him on? So what is he saying here? He's saying, look, what is it that actually, if you rationalize things and reason things out, what does it demand of you? It's the easiest thing, to just live according with your own nature. Just to be. To just survive, to just do the things that you're supposed to do, to rationalize, to think. But he's saying that it's turned into this hard task by the madness of mankind, thinking that we need all these things, being pushed into all these vices. You need more money, you need more of this, you need to do that, you need to do this, you need to become this, right? And he's saying that, look, how can you actually be brought into this, into the actual truth, if there's no one to stop you, and everyone is urging you on to do these stupid things and to waste your time pursuing things that are worthless. I'll see you tomorrow.